Hi there, it's Jared. Welcome to this game. This is round 2 of the Doeberl Cup 2017 tournament, which has just concluded over the Easter break. I had the white pieces, and my opponent in this game is Véronique Eldridge-Smith, and her rating is 1557. This game was played on the 14th of April 2017. And played in the major section, and here we go. I kicked off with pawn to e4, and she played pawn to e6, the French defense. d4, d5, and I played knight to d2, which is the Tarrasch variation. White, of course, has many options in this position. Can also play knight c3, can play e5. If white is boring, white can just take on d5, and so white has lots of options in this position. But I went for knight to d2. The reason why I'm playing knight to d2 now and not the move I used to play, knight to c3, is, well, I just got tired of this move, and personally, this is a variation that I have real issues with. So I prefer just to not have to face this variation, and now I play knight to d2. And of course, if black now plays bishop b4, this move is now just pointless because white can just play c3. So, and she played pawn to c5, which is good. Black can also play the move knight to f6, and we can continue down some other variations like this, and we get lines like this where black is often taking on d4 and playing an early f6. But in this game, she decided to play c5, which is also quite popular. I captured on d5, and now she recaptured with the queen, which is an interesting move. It's not the most popular move. The most popular is to take back with the pawn. And we will get a line like this. White plays knight gf3, knight c6, bishop b5, and white is basically waiting for black to play the move bishop e7, and then we'll take on c5, and at some point we'll play knight d2, c3, and put his knight on d4, and black is left with this isolated pawn on d5. It's not necessarily a weakness though, as black can often play knight to e4 and has some good attacking chances because of the pawn on d5. So that's the line that I had known up until about, move 8 or so. So I was happy to go into that line, but she took with the queen, and I had my first time out of the game. I tried to think what I should do here. I had a feeling that knight g to f3 was the right move. So not knight to f4, but knight g to f3. I played pawn takes pawn because I really wasn't sure what I should play, because knight gf3 does involve temporarily sacrificing the d4 pawn, and I wasn't completely sure if I was going to get the pawn back. It turns out that I do. C takes d4 is the main move. Bishop c4. I saw these moves, queen d6, and what I had missed was, in this position, black can't play the move pawn to e5, as white just takes it, because there's this tactic with rook e1, and you win the black queen at the end of the line. So black usually plays knight f6, then knight b3, and basically white can get the pawn back whenever he wants. So this is what I should have played. But also, what I did wasn't bad. It's just, after this, I think black's just comfortable. So, bishop c5, knight gf3 was played, knight f6, bishop c4, queen d6. These moves are all fine. Castles, castles. Queen e2 is a good move, and knight b to d7. The database that I've got recommends knight to c6 as being a more testing try, possibly with the idea of jumping in with knight to d4 at some point. and the line goes knight e4, takes, knight d4, and after a move like bishop f4, white might be a little bit better, probably not. Black should be perfectly fine here. I mean, some line like knight f3 check, and I don't know, move the queen to e7 or something. Black should be okay. So as mentioned, she played the move knight b to d7, and I played rook to e1. She played a6 now, and I played a4 to keep her from playing b5. Potentially a better try was the move knight e4 right now, and she'll move back to c7 and I can take on c5. If she captures on e4, then I just take back with the queen, and we get to a position that's very similar to what I got in the game. a6, a4, and she played the move rook to b8. It turns out that this move was slightly dubious. A better try was the move queen to c6. Just trying to keep my knight out of e4, and white can then play a move like a5 to make it a bit harder to play a move like pawn to b5. But as mentioned, she played the move rook b8. This is where I had my next long think. If you'd like to pause the video, try and work out what would you play in this position with white. Okay, I played a move that during the game I wasn't completely sure about. The issue is black has got these knights which are in the way of her being able to get her pieces out, particularly this bishop on c8. So I had to think about this next move carefully. I played knight to e4, which on the surface looks like it's helping black, because after knight takes, black is able to play a move like knight to f6 and be able to get her pieces out. First she played the move b5. I captured and played bishop d3 with the intention of landing a checkmate on h7, and she played knight to f6, which was actually the losing move. It turns out a better move was g6, but this also doesn't look fun for black after queen h4. The engine points out the move f6, which if you have to play f6, that's not very nice, and I just come back to g4, and I've got two pieces attacking the pawn on e6, and this is not fun for black to play. Also, white might think about taking on g6, so not very fun for black. But as mentioned, she played knight to f6, and I played queen to h4. And now, from this moment on, basically, till the end of the game, except for one moment, but from this moment on, she basically played a perfect game. She played a really good defense, and she found some unbelievably good moves. This was just a great game from here on out for her. She played what the engine says is the only move, and it's a move that I thought was just crazy. She played e5. The issue for black is white just wants to play bishop g5, take this knight, and then mate you on h7. So the options for black here are reasonably limited, right? So she played e5. Possibly at some point she might play the move e4 and then just take off my bishop. So I just took this pawn, and she played h6, which is also the best move. But this move to me just looked completely crazy. I spent some time here and I just took the pawn on h6, and I completely missed the next move that she played. Bishop takes f2 check. I took with the queen. It's also possible to take with the king, but this is better for white, but it's not as good as taking with the queen. Knight g4 check, king f1, and knight takes h6. It's important if you take the rook. If you take the rook here, I actually didn't check this afterwards, but I assume that bishop takes g7 is winning. Okay, bishop to f4 is winning with a deadly pin and queen h7 mate. So I took with the queen. Knight g4, and I played queen to g3. I was really low on time at this point, and this move was okay, but I had a much better move with moving the queen to d2. And this just wins for white. The best move is to play queen takes h6, which just goes into this losing endgame after queen h6, knight h6, rook b5, and white's just up 2 pawns. So this is just over. I didn't see this line. Also, importantly, black cannot take this rook because white also has the idea of bishop to h7 check, which wins black's queen. But I played queen to g3, and she took my bishop. Rook g5 was played, attacking the knight and opening up an attack on the rook on b8, so she played queen b6 check, king f1, and now she just played perfectly. Like, every move she played was just perfect. She played f5, which is the best move, h3. She can't move the knight because I'd take the pawn on g7 and she's mated basically. So f4, queen h4, knight check, and now I play king to e2, which to me is the normal move. The engine wants to play the outrageous move king to g1, which to me just looks crazy, just walking into the line of this queen. But there is absolutely nothing here. If knight f5 check, which looks like it wins my queen, I can just come back and block with the queen. But as mentioned, of course, I play king e2. And now she found bishop f5. Just a fantastic move. White was intending to come in with a big check on h7, so she played bishop f5. I mean, it all just ties in nicely together. The knight and the rook hold down this piece. This is just really nicely played by black. And now I actually made the losing move. I played rook to a3 with no time left on my clock. It turns out I can try to keep on playing for a win with the move rook h5. And the line goes bishop d3, cd3, knight f5, rook h8. We get these rooks off the board and I take on f4. White is up 2 pawns, but it's not completely easy. I mean, black has some chance to hold, but probably white should win. But as mentioned, I played rook a3, which just loses. And with the exception of just one moment, she played just absolutely perfectly here. She played rook b to e8, which is the best move. And now she has ideas of knight takes g2 check to win my queen. So I moved my king. She took on d3, which is the best move. She played b4, which is the best move. And now she makes the only error from this point. She plays b3. And now if I play the right move, this position's a draw. But with no time on my clock, I played rook takes g7 because I thought that I was just losing anyway. It turns out that I'm not. If I play the right move, which is, I believe it was rook h5. I'm just checking my notes here. Yes, rook h5 with the idea of coming down to h8 again. And the engine gives this line knight to f1 check. I can't take this knight because the queen's going to come in, and that's going to be nasty. So king d1, knight e3, king d2, and we have a draw. But with absolutely no time left on my clock, I played rook takes g7. Basically a panic move. I really thought I was just lost. So I thought, alright, I'll play this move and hope that I have some way to win back some material. But it turns out that I don't. So she just took it, of course. Queen g5, queen g6, rook a7. And it dawned on me here that my intention was to play the move knight to e5 check. After, of course, rook takes rook, king takes rook. My idea was to play knight to e5 check. But of course she just takes it and takes on g2 and I'm just busted. So that's not playable. So I play queen takes f4, king g8, knight h4. I mean, there's really not much point looking at these moves now because I'm just a whole rook down. But she played this, also this part, just really nicely. There's probably many moves that win for black, but she played basically all the best moves right to the end of the game. It was just amazing to watch. Queen g7, fantastic move. Wants to come down and take the pawn on b2. King c1, knight d5. This moment there was a better move. Can't remember what it was, but I was actually just expecting the move knight takes g2, which just forces my knight off the board, and I thought just this was the easiest win for black. But knight to d5 is also just -8. I mean, this is just hopelessly lost. So I played queen d2, rook c8 check, and I decided to toss in the towel and I resigned this position. In view of the line king b1, rook to c2, attacking my queen and threatening mate, which is pretty bad. So a really nicely played game by black. She was lost right out of the opening actually, but with no time on your clock, it's sometimes hard to find the right moves, and I was reasonably happy with my play up until this point. Like, all of this is just great. I mean, I don't have a problem with this stuff. I was really happy that I found knight to e4 with the idea of moving my queen over to h4 for these ideas with bishop g5, but e5 was just great. I mean, she has to do this, and h6 best move, bishop f2 best move. You know, knight g4 is not too hard, but queen h6 is great. Queen b6 is best move. f5 is the best move. f4, knight e3, just every move is just perfect. Bishop f5, I mean, all of these moves are just so good. I can't believe she found them all. It's just crazy. Really good defense by black. So I hope you enjoyed that game. Sadly, it was a loss, but I don't mind losing, of course. I mean, just as long as I have a good game, and this was a great game. So I hope you enjoyed this game, and I'll see you in the next video for the third round of the Doeberl Cup 2017. Thanks for watching.